It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Broadcasting from coast to coast,
city to city, coast to coast.
It's time for the Ryan Hickey Show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If it's happening in sports, it's being talked about right here. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Good Thursday morning and welcome into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Ryan Hickey Show with you right here exclusively, like we always are, on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Very excited and happy that you are joining us on this rainy Thursday. That's okay. We're not going to get the weather. We're not going to let the weather, I should say, get us down here. A very jam-packed, exciting, fun, hopefully, show for the next 2 hours until 11 a.m. Eastern. We have a lot to get to. First, as always, as a reminder, we're coming to you live from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios, where it's great pizza, hot heroes, and phenomenal dinners. Check out Big Italy Pizzeria if you're on Long Island in Medford, Joe's Pizzeria in Bayshore, or anywhere at BigItalyPizza.com. We have some big breaking news coming out of the NBA, which we'll get to in a second. Russell Westbrook wants out of Houston. Wants to get away from the Rockets. Does not trust, I should say, the future of Houston now with Daryl Morey, their general manager, going elsewhere, with Mike D'Antoni, their former head coach, going elsewhere. We'll discuss in a second. Well, that could be a good thing for the Rockets. Tonight, Thursday Night Football, a pretty good game, honestly. You know, we've had good games on the slate. Last week, Packers, 49ers was a good game on paper until you get to that game and there's a lot of injuries. There's COVID protocols where big players are out. So it didn't live up to the billing, let's say. But Colts-Titans, a lot of players are healthy, or most of the players, I should say, are healthy. And this is a pretty important game for playoff implications and AFC South implications. We'll preview the game at 9:20 here, about 15 minutes or so. Who needs this win more? We're getting into some college football playoff cancellations and how that impacts college football playoff. 10 o'clock hour, or I should say top of the second hour, excuse me. I put a poll out there. So if you follow me on Twitter, at Ryan Hickey Show, you didn't see it, I tweeted it yesterday. If you're not following me, well, I suggest, I would hope, hopefully at least the count is fun enough to follow. But if you want to at least check out the poll, I put it up yesterday, about 24 hours ago. Who is the best team in the NFC? I think there's a consensus 4 teams: Packers, Seahawks, Saints, and Buccaneers. I think all 4 can make a case for why they're the best team in the NFC. I think all 4 have flaws that give you pause in saying they're the best team in the NFC. So get to that at 10 o'clock. Who is the best team in the NFC? I put the poll question on Twitter at Ryan Hickey Show, on Instagram also at Ryan Hickey Show. If you want to vote on Instagram, you want to vote on Twitter, either way, we'll read those results at 10 o'clock. I'd love to get your thoughts and discuss at least my rankings 4 through 1 in the NFC. Jerry Jones, on his weekly appearance on 105 through the Fan in Dallas this week, scoffed, if you will, at the notion of the Cowboys drafting a quarterback. I'll tell you why I think that's actually a really smart idea and maybe could get the Cowboys out of this malaise they've been in for really the past 25 years, right? Since they won their last Super Bowl back in 1995. Every year they want to contend. Every year they think they're going to contend. And what happens? Fall short every single year. Maybe drafting a quarterback could be the difference for the Cowboys going forward. I'll outline that. And at 10:40, as we always do, Hickey's Pickies, my guy Mike Pooley. I'm very excited. Very excited. Not only are we going to discuss some games, not only we're going to get Mike's upset special, he is a massive, massive, massive golf fan. Extremely knowledgeable, knows what he's talking about. You know he's already locked into the Masters, so actually we appreciate him going away from the Masters for a few minutes to join us here at 10:40. He will also give us his Masters picks along with the picks that we will do for both college football and the NFL. Again, as always, 10:40 Eastern to end the show. So I do want to start with the biggest news that started breaking first rumor-wise yesterday morning and then started to become confirmed later on Wednesday, and that was the future of Russell Westbrook and a little bit of James Harden down there in Houston. There were some rumors, there were some reports, I should say, easy for me to say, that both Russell Westbrook and James Harden were concerned about the future and the direction of the Rockets. Neither of them were interested in a rebuild. They wanted to win now. And they were concerned with Daryl Morey going away, with Mike D'Antoni going away, that maybe a rebuild could be on the way sooner than they both want, sooner than they both expect. So there was some trepidation, there was some concern coming out of Houston that maybe both could force a trade. And As great reporters do, Shams Charania of The Athletic reported late last night, Russell Westbrook has made that declaration. He has wanted out of Houston. He is seeking a trade. While on the flip side, Shams is also reporting that James Harden is, quote, locked in, end quote, for the Rockets this year. So one star they bring in last offseason and Russell Westbrook wants out. Another star, James Harden, their cornerstone, their face of the franchise with the Rockets, wants in for this season at least. We'll see after that. But is this a good thing for Houston? Does Russell Westbrook wanting out, wanting to go somewhere else, wanting to go to a contender, does this actually benefit the Rockets in the short term and the long term? To me, the answer is yes. This is actually a good thing for Houston for a few reasons. Number one, let's be honest, right? I know it was only a small sample size. It's only 1 year. The pandemic cut short maybe the camaraderie and the familiarity and the continuity that these two could have had on the court going forward to finish out the last third of the season or so. But Russ and Harden on the court together as a dynamic 1-2 duo just really wasn't working. It wasn't working as successfully as maybe the Rockets had hoped, as Harden had hoped, and maybe even as Westbrook has hoped. Because at times, it was kind of up in the air. Didn't really know who was controlling the offense. We assume and we know because of Mike D'Antoni's system, because of James Harden's, obviously, fame in Houston, is his team. But he would take the ball up sometimes. Then Russ would take the ball up sometimes. There was really no set pattern of who was going to start the offense. So basically a bucket is scored or a rebound comes about, and it's just whoever's closest to the ball is going to bring it up. And there's no really continuity. There's no real run with the offense. There's no feel. It almost felt directionless at times. So you didn't have the quarterback, or you didn't really know on each particular offensive position who the quarterback was going to be. Kind of tough to give yourself an identity on the offensive side. Not to mention, both are ball-dominant players that really struggle without the ball in their hands, right? James Harden carries the ball up every single time. He's the one that creates. He's the one who starts either trying to dribble a player to death and shoot a three, drive and kick, drive and score. He is the catalyst. He is the quarterback, if you will, of that Rockets offense. But so is Russell Westbrook. He's the same sort of player. In OKC for his entire career, Russ was the guy who brought the ball up, who got things going on the offensive end, and he would kind of have the same strategy. He would dribble the ball, try to drive, kick out, try to drive and score. It was him running the controls. So now you have two ball-dominant players on the court with, guess what? The last time I checked, the rules didn't change in basketball. There's only one basketball allowed to be used at a time. So when you go back to the last time these two played a full season not together, right? Let's go back to the 2018-2019 season. Harden was with the Rockets. Westbrook was with the Thunder. Harden in the NBA was number one in usage rate in the NBA, meaning basically the amount of times the ball is in his hand on the offensive position. So whether he's dribbling, seconds-wise, he basically has the ball the most out of any player in the NBA. Usage rate number one. Westbrook was number 10. Not that far off. So again, they run similar styles to where they both have the ball in their hands, a lot. And like I said, because there's only one basketball, we're not having two basketballs out there on the court. The rules all of a sudden didn't change for 1 year to accommodate both Russ and Harden. It's tough when neither really are good off ball, when both need to have the ball in their hands. It's tough to get the offense going. Not to mention, let's just call a spade here. Russell Westbrook could not shoot anywhere close to the level that Harden and the Rockets needed him to be in order to be effective in that offense. Teams wanted Russell Westbrook to shoot, whether it's threes, whether it's pull-up jumpers. And as we know with the Rockets, with their analytics-driven mantra, and basically threes or layups, that was it. Mid-rangers in their mind are dead. Well, Russell Westbrook, let's just say, didn't play to that strategy. He took some mid-range jumpers. He took threes ill-advised. Tried to drive to the hoop. But he just didn't shoot well enough. As we know, James Harden and this Rockets team tried to put as many shooters around James Harden as possible, and it didn't work out. Well, at least in terms of Harden, Westbrook, he's not a good enough shooter to be off-ball with James Harden on the floor. So from an on-court perspective, I think it's a good thing that Russ wants out, and maybe you free up James Harden a little bit better to have the offense run more smoothly. Speaking of freeing up, let's look at Russell Westbrook's contract. He is owed over the next 3 seasons $131 million. $131 million. A massive hit for a team that has really no cap flexibility, right? There's not much wiggle room. And when you're paying 2 players max salaries, well, let's just say the role players, the bench players, they're not going to get maybe their due rate, or you're going to have to pay lesser guys. That's all you can afford to surround James Harden and Russell Westbrook. So Tillman Fertitta, the owner of the Rockets, since buying them 3 years ago, has discussed about, I'll pay the luxury tax, no problem. That's not holding us back. I've given Daryl Moore the green light to be as aggressive as possible, make the team as best as it possibly could be. Money's the object. But he says that, talks the talk. When it comes to walking the walk, he hasn't done it. In the 3 years Fertitta has owned the Rockets, they have paid the luxury tax, or gone past the luxury tax, I should say, 0 times. Luxury tax, if you're unaware, basically it's a soft cap. So if you go over that amount, let's just say, for argument's sake, $200 million, if your payroll is over $200 million, you pay tax on however much you're over. If you're $210 million, you pay tax on the $10 million. So basically you're paying $210 million plus extra for going over the soft cap in the NBA. So Tillman Fertitta said, I will pay the tax, no problem. But he hasn't done it. Hasn't done it. We always, all of us in our lives, I'm sure, one way or another. Oh, I'll pay it. Yeah, I got you. Next time. And then all of a sudden, you just kind of hope they forget. Fingers crossed. Yeah, next time. Oh man, I forgot the money this time, buddy. Sorry about that. Next time I got you. Don't worry. And then you just kind of hope that they forget after a while. And maybe that's what Tillman Fertitta's trying to do. Oh yeah, I'll definitely pay the luxury tax next year. I give Daryl Moore the green light. Wink. And they don't go into the tax. They don't go all in, money-wise. So now having that massive contract of $131 million off your books, you have flexibility. You can surround James Harden with some better players. You can try to figure out how to get another round peg to fit in that round hole. Because so far, whether it's Dwight Howard, whether it's Chris Paul, whether it's Russell Westbrook, they've all been square pegs in one way or another, not just on the court. Personality-wise, no one's really been able to kind of be that number 2 to James Harden number 1. And they brought in a few guys, and it looks like they're going to have to keep trying. And finally, speaking of kind of being handicapped, being hamstrung, if you will, by Russell Westbrook's contract, $131 million over the next 3 years, let's also look at the draft assets that the Rockets don't have. So remember back, early this year before the trade deadline, they traded Clint Capella. They got Robert Covington in a 4-team trade. Well, also in trading Clint Capella, guess what was also gone? A first-round pick. So your first-round pick for this year, gone. Your 2024 or 2026 first-round picks, gone to the Thunder for Russell Westbrook. So 3 first-round picks. The next few years, gonzo. 2021, 2025, pick swaps. So this year's first-round pick gone. Depending on how the records shake out, if the Rockets do try to go for a rebuild, finish with a worse record than OKC, get a higher lottery pick or a higher pick in the draft, guess what? Thunder have the right to say, we're going to flip that. Well, let's just do a little reverse here. I'm going to take yours, you're going to take mine, we're going to go up a little higher. So no 2020 first-round pick. 4 draft picks in the next 6 years are either gone or going to be flipped. There's not much wiggle room here if the Rockets want to get some really good players in the draft to develop with James Harden. So guess what? Trading Russell Westbrook, you're going to get a first-round pick back. You're going to get some good assets back that you could try to recoup for all the ones you gave away the last 2 or 3 years trying to go win a title. So I think it's a good move to try to get Russell Westbrook, try to get some of that equity back, save your cap space, and slowly try to rebuild yourself out of the hellhole that essentially you kind of cornered yourself in trying to win a title last year and the year before. So where could Russell Westbrook go? Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer, great NBA reporter, was reporting earlier that 2 teams interested in Westbrook, Knicks and the Clippers. Now I'll say this quickly. I hate both of those fits. I hate both of them. For the Knicks, I don't really see the need for Russell Westbrook. He's not a player. His style to me is not one that would bring stars to New York. Remember, obviously, the Knicks, their goal, how can I say this nicely? The Knicks' goal, essentially, each and every year, is to almost get lucky. In meaning that maybe some free agent, some superstar, some borderline superstar will be dumb enough, stupid enough to come to New York in free agency, chase the money, and from there, the Knicks hope that that superstar, borderline superstar, rising superstar, however they are in their career, would then bring other stars along with them. Which that's been the strategy really since the Knicks got Melo a decade ago. And let's just say every single year it's failed. They've swung and missed. I don't see Russell Westbrook as being the guy, if he comes to New York, if they get him in a trade, to where all of a sudden stars, big-time players are all of a sudden like, hey, I want to play with Russell Westbrook. Let's not forget, Kevin Durant left OKC because of Russell Westbrook in part, because he didn't want to play with him. Stars so far have seemed to divide and go away from Russell Westbrook, not come together. Paul George was in OKC for a year. That's to get me the hell out of here. So, stars run away from Russell Westbrook, not gravitate towards him. And not to mention, I want to see some development from the New York Knicks. I'm tired of hoping and praying that one superstar can come and bring everyone else along. Russell Westbrook, for sure, is a great enough player to where, you know what, maybe he can get to the Knicks to the playoffs this year. But that's not sustainable. That's not building a winner. I want to see through the draft, you scout well. How about this? How about this, New York Knicks? You develop the guys you draft. Play them on the court. Don't put them in impossible situations. Expect the world out of them. And then, whether it's a Kristaps Porzingis wanting out, whether it's a Kevin Knox not playing or not really being put in the best situation to succeed, too many times, too many high draft picks for the Knicks have failed. And a lot of it, I believe, is on the Knicks and their development situation. And for the Clippers side, talk about trying to fit another square peg into a round hole. I have zero confidence that a three-headed monster of Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook would work. I don't see, please someone try to outline the game plan of how those three together will work on the court. I don't see it. Not to mention, because Russell Westbrook's under contract, you're not signing him to the free agency, you got to give up a ton of assets. And the Clippers, similar to the Rockets, gave up a ton of assets to the Thunder to get Paul George. And they're trying to win now. So they have really not many draft picks, not much draft capital or assets to give away. So what does that mean? You got to give away young players. You got to give away a major amount of your either role players or bench players. Landry Shamit's name has been thrown out there. Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams. Like, these are legitimate, important key pieces for the Clippers. They would be kissing goodbye in order to bring Russell Westbrook into town. You thought the continuity, you thought, things seemed off for the Clippers. They kind of never got on the same page last year. Good luck trying to get everyone on the same page when you have Paul George, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard on the court at the same time. I don't see that happening. So I'm curious your thoughts. Would you want your team to trade for Russell Westbrook? Are you a fan of a team that says, you know what? Screw it. I want Russell Westbrook. I think he'd be a good fit here. I think he would help my team moving forward. We got to bring this guy in. What's the Rockets' future looking like? Is this a good thing if the Rockets move on from Russell Westbrook, or should they try to keep him? Do you think that the dynamic duo of Russ and Harden can still win a title, or at least give the Rockets a chance to win a title? Well, get your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio. WWSRN_radio. Also, tweet me directly at Ryan Hickey Show. We'll get your Rockets thoughts. We'll get your James Harden thoughts. We'll get your Russell Westbrook thoughts. All on the other side, and we'll also preview Colts-Titans tonight. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
We are back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network on this rainy, dreary Thursday. But we're trying to cheer you up here, hopefully. That's the goal here on the Worldwide Sports Network, as we're here until 11 a.m. Eastern. I want to get into this a little bit here. I saw the most ridiculous thing. Lauren Clark, big fan of the show, number one currently in Hickey's Picky standings. I'll give her credit. 5-0, the only person to go undefeated so far in Hickey's Pickies. She sent me this most ridiculous fashion trend, I guess if you want to call it. We'll get into it here in about 15 minutes at 9:40. I'll just put it this way. I don't get fashion at all. I don't understand the game. I don't understand why things are overpriced the way they are, and I don't understand why people would buy it. This, by far, to me, is the most confusing, mind-numbing sort of fashion trend that has gone on so far. I don't get it. We'll get into that in 15 minutes or so, because I hope I'm not alone. Again, I am not the most fashionable person in the world. I don't keep up with the trends. I kind of have just one style and stick with it. But this is just ridiculous. This is just absolutely ridiculous. So taking your thoughts on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio. Also at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter if you want to chime in. Russell Westbrook wants out of Houston. If you're a fan of an NBA team, would you want him on your team? Do you want Russell Westbrook? Would he be a good fit for you? Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio. At Ryan Hickey Show, also on radio, also on Twitter. Jake Wiener. Love Jake Wiener. Big Penn State guy. We graduated together. He writes on Periscope. Smokey the Bear adds so far best part of the show. I'll let you know how good the show's gone. I can't disagree. Smokey the Bear. Listen, forest fires. Gotta be careful about those. But that tells you so far, at least, how's this Thursday show going? The ads are better than the actual show. So hopefully, at least for the next hour and a half, we can improve. But it's a high bar to surpass Smokey. So we'll try our best here. So speaking of, because of it is a Thursday, because obviously we have some Thursday night football tonight, we actually have a good matchup. Colts-Titans, little AFC South divisional matchup. Titans 6-2, Colts 5-3. Who needs this game more? Because obviously both are having successful seasons so far. Both are right in the middle of the playoff hunt. But this is a pivotal game in my mind. This is a game that I think will set the tone for the rest of the season for both teams. Few tough games left on each side, but this is a game where I think the winner will win the AFC South. I do. This is kind of one of those momentum, plant your flag. This is kind of our team. We're going to either come up to the challenge and take a stranglehold of this division, or kind of melt away. To me, look at this game tonight. I think the Colts need this win and are more desperate for a win than the Titans are for a few reasons. Number one, this kind of game, this 4-game stretch the Colts are currently in the middle of. This is why you brought Philip Rivers to Indianapolis. This is why you gave them a $25 million a year contract. To win games like this, to elevate your team in a way Jacoby Brissett couldn't do last year in your mind. Because last year, the coaching staff, Frank Reich, wanted to be aggressive. They didn't feel Jacoby Brissett pushed the ball enough down the field, wasn't aggressive enough to lead this offense. They started out 5-2, just like they did this year. Last year, the Colts, after starting off 5-2, wilted, couldn't win some of the big games, ended up missing the playoffs. I'm hoping this is not a repeat of 2019, but this is a game that kind of helps turn the tide one way or another and saying 2019 is coming. It's here. Philip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, neither of them are going to be the difference. Or this is a game where, you know what? We brought Philip Rivers here not to win the games with his arm, but to make 2 or 3 throws a game to win you the game. Make the big play when necessary. Not be a total gunslinger. Not throw the ball 50 times and win you the game. So this is a massive opportunity for Philip Rivers and this Colts offense to show what they can do and try to win a big game. Because so far, halfway through the season, 8 games, Rivers has been unable to play his best football in some of the bigger games. Now, the Colts' schedule is backloaded in terms of having some big matchups. So they've really only played, I'll say, 2 big games so far. The Browns back in Week 3 and the Ravens last week. In the Browns game, Philip Rivers, 21 of 33 for 243 yards, 2 interceptions. 2 costly interceptions. One was a pick six. He also had a safety in the end zone. He gave away 9 points in the second half. The Colts ended up losing that game by 9 points. Not a good game by Rivers. Last week against the Ravens, 25 of 43, 227 yards, 1 interception. And really, that game was had by the Colts, and it was very winnable. And the offense, especially in the second half, was sputtering. Couldn't get any momentum going. Couldn't move the ball at all. And they ended up losing that game. After having a lead at halftime, they ended up losing by 2 touchdowns. So here's a chance on Thursday night with the world to see for Phil Rivers to make a few throws to help the Colts win, because so far he has not been able to do so. Even why this is easy for me to say. I'm going to try to restart that whole thing. Holy cow. Holy smokes. That's why Wiener is right. The Smokey the Bear ads are better than the show so far, because at least Smokey the Bear can actually talk, give his thoughts out. Here we go. We're going to try that again. Even more importantly, why tonight is a bigger game for the Colts rather than the Titans. The Titans' defense so far has struggled through the year. This is an opportunity. The Colts should take advantage of this Titans defense if they can figure it out. Because the Titans defense so far, allowing the 8th most yards per game in the NFL, allowing the 6th most passing yards per game in the NFL, and really, most importantly, the biggest stat when it comes to Phil Rivers, when it comes to his success, the Titans are 31st out of 32, so just about as bad as you possibly could be, at getting after the quarterback. They have just 10 sacks on the season. So because the Titans struggle at getting home, you don't really touch the quarterback, they don't really even put pressure on the quarterback, because the Colts' offensive line is one of the best in the NFL, Phil Rivers should have time to throw tonight. He should have clean pockets. He should be able to set his feet and make accurate throws. Now it's on Rivers to hit those throws. Hit those deep shots. Make some accurate passes to your wide receivers. Don't overshoot, because we've seen him overthrow receivers deep. Bounce passes. We've seen kind of everything from Phil Rivers. Short on some passes, overthrew some receivers deep. He's kind of run the gamut of inaccuracy throughout this year. So you're going to have time. You got to hit these throws. And finally, one last race, at least in my mind, I think this game is more important for the Colts than the Titans. Colts lose this game, they go to 0-2 in the division. Titans win, they go to 3-0. So any sort of tiebreaker you would have or need is out the window. And not to mention, speaking of Philip Rivers and his struggles, speaking of the Titans' struggles defensively, this is a game the Colts really need to find an offensive identity. They have one in theory. Run the ball, play great defense, and again, have Philip Rivers throw the ball 2 or 3 times a game, make 2 or 3 big throws, and that's how you win the game. It's outlined for me. The strategy is there. The issue for the Colts is that they haven't been able to do so. They struggle to run the ball. They really have struggled to establish their run despite having a great offensive line. I like Jonathan Taylor. They were hurt with the big Marlon Mack loss earlier in the season, their number 1 running back. But they have struggled at times to run the ball, and that's put Philip Rivers and his offense in some bad positions. Because now when you're asking Rivers to throw the ball 35 times, 40 times, 45 times, guess what? That's a losing strategy. Your game is already over. He beat the Bengals a few weeks ago throwing the ball, I believe it was 43 times. But I'll say this, it's the Bengals. Every other game he's thrown the ball more than 30 times, the Colts have lost. Including the Browns game 33 times, including the Ravens game 43 times. So when you're not playing one of the worst defenses in the NFL in the Cincinnati Bengals, the more Philip Rivers throws the ball, the worse it is for this Colts offense. You got to establish the run starting tonight against a team that struggles stopping opposing offenses. Titans have a terrible third down defense. Can't get after the quarterback. This is a game the Colts should have some success in. Now, I'll pick the game in Hickey's Pickies in about an hour or so with Pooley. I'll say this. I don't know which way I'm going. This is a really, really tough game for me to try to give you a winner and think about and feel confident saying Colts are going to win or the Titans are going to win. Because both kind of have their struggles. Both at points, or I should say positions, have me concerned. I don't trust Phil Rivers. I'll be completely honest. Again, I know he's played well against the Bengals. I know he's played well against the Lions. He had some flashes this year. But again, those are against some bad teams and bad defenses. In the 2 games the Colts needed him the most, he has come up short. This is a situation where the Colts need him. They do. This is why they brought him to Indianapolis, to win games like this. Be the difference maker. Be the aggressor Jacoby Brissett couldn't be last year. Trying to avoid as much as possible the same 5-2 swoon that happened last year. This is a game, this is a win that can change the tide for the Colts, erase that bad loss to the Ravens a few days ago, and set yourself up going forward for the second half of the season to take control of the AFC South. Get a home playoff game. This is a massive step towards that, and that starts tonight. So to me, looking at it, who would be more devastated for a loss? Who's in more trouble if this team loses? To me, it's the Colts. They have more at stake in this game. They are more desperate to win this game, in my mind, than the Titans so far. Titans have opportunities. They know what their identity is. They just got to figure out the defensive side. The Colts don't know who they are. Or if they do, they do know who they are. They can't execute to it. They can't run the ball. Phil Rivers hasn't been able to hit some passes. So I'm curious your thoughts. Who needs this game more, the Colts or Titans? And honestly, if you're an innocent bystander, if you're a team or a fan of the other 30 teams in the NFL, do you look at the Colts or the Titans as legitimate playoff threats? Do you? I don't really. Even as a Colts fan, I'm not intimidated by this team because of Phil Rivers and the offense. And for the Titans, they've had a tremendous start to this season, had a few nail-biters against some bad teams. But that Bills game on Tuesday night a few weeks ago, after obviously having a COVID scare, kind of being away from the facility for almost a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, playing a game on a random Tuesday, you had 1 or 2 days of practice, to blow the Bills out the way they did, I think it impressed a lot of people, including myself. And I really thought, you know what? This Titans team, they are tough. They are gritty. No practice for 2 weeks, no big deal. Screw it. We're going to go out there and punch the Bills in the face. Dominate that game. But really, since that performance, they haven't really looked themselves. They lost to the Bengals. They had one of the worst first halves imaginable against the Steelers. Still almost won that game, but also that was in due part because of Ben Roethlisberger giving the ball away. I become less and less intimidated, fearful of the Titans. I really have. So, again, if I was a fan of the other 30 teams, if I'm a fan, especially of an AFC team, so far, halfway through the season, neither the Colts or the Titans kind of concern me, impress me, give me pause if I'm playing them in the playoffs. So I'll get your thoughts. Colts, Titans, either of them legitimate playoff threats. Are you scared if your team is playing them? Who needs this game more, Colts or Titans? We'll get your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSR_radio. We'll get to some of college football playoff implications now that games are getting more and more canceled. This week especially, it's a tough week to be the SEC, but also a big Big Ten game is also by the boards now and wiped away. So we'll get into that, and also fashion, man. I don't get it. We'll get your thoughts when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
The Ryan Hickey Show right here on this Thursday morning, taking you until 11 a.m. Eastern. Breaking down the biggest news of the day so far. Russell Westbrook last night wants out of Houston. Would you want him on your team? I'm a Knicks fan. No way, Jose. You stay far away. Don't even think about it. James Dolan, Leon Rose, Tom Thibodeau, don't think about it. Would you want him on your team? Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter. Who needs this Thursday night game more tonight, Colts or Titans? I'm going the Colts. I think they're more desperate to win this game. They need a statement win so far. They haven't really been able to get one. This is a chance for the whole world to see. I think it's more important for them to get a win than is the Titans. So we'll get your thoughts. Again, Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter. 20 minutes. Who is the best team in the NFC? Poll questions on Twitter at Ryan Hickey Show, on Instagram, also on Ryan Hickey Show. If you want to vote on Instagram as well, it is part of my story on the old IG. 4 teams: Packers, Seahawks, Saints, and Buccaneers. I think all 4 have a solid case, if you will, to try to claim the number 1 spot. I'll give you my rankings 4 through run here in 20 minutes, the top second hour. Mike Pooley, not only handicap expert, he will join us on Hickey's Pickies at 10:40. And literally right now, 60 minutes away, massive golf fan all over the Masters. He will give us his thoughts and predictions from Augusta National, or I guess not from Augusta National, it's not down there, but from his couch watching Augusta National. So do that at 10:40. Very excited about that. I do want to get into a few college football cancellations here in a second and how it impacts the playoff. I do, though, I just teased this before, want to discuss fashion, because I honestly don't get it. And I will admit I am not a fashion-forward type of guy. As Lauren Clark would attest, your on Facebook, you know Vineyard Vines and Vineyard Vines only. A little dramatic, classic for Lauren, but she has her opinion. But she sent me yesterday something fashion-wise that I want to ask you guys about. Make sure I'm not kind of going crazy, I'm not losing it, or I'm just not out of touch with what the cool kids are doing. So like I said, no clue about fashion. I understand a lot of these trends, a lot of influencers or a lot of celebrities wear the weirdest stuff. I just started watching Schitt's Creek. One of their the main characters in that show is kind of a fashion-forward type of fella, if you will. I don't get anything that he wears. So it's not my style. It's not my thing. But Lauren sent me something. I'm going to show it to the camera here. Hopefully this works. She sent me a picture of these sneakers. Now, I'm going to hold it up. I hope this works. I hope you can see it. Honestly, I didn't test this out, so I'll kind of see how it works. But hopefully you can get some sort of idea here, some sort of sense of what we're showing. These sneakers that Lauren just sent me, right? Okay, actually I'm watching it. It looks right now. Okay, so it does work. These sneakers right here that you are looking at currently on the screen right here, would you want to take a guess of how much they cost? Because my brain is floored with the cost of these zebra pattern glitter sneakers that you can see right here. That, if you look closely, it's not your eyes. It's not the camera smudging it. Those are actual stains. Those are dirt stains that come with the sneakers. They come dirty. My entire life, I feel like everyone has been told, and the goal was to try to keep your sneakers clean. Especially white sneakers. Wipe them down. You don't wear them that often. If it's raining, wear some other crappy shoes. You're not wearing your nice shoes out. You got to keep those nice and clean. Keep them fresh, as the kids say, right? Well, no, these sneakers come dirty on purpose. I guess that's the new trend, dirty white sneakers. These glitter sneakers with zebra print that, again, come scuffed up and dirty, Lauren tells me, cost $560. Who the hell is paying $560 for these piece of crap? I don't get it. So if there's someone out there that knows fashion that can explain to me why, first of all, those type of ugly sneakers are worth $560, I would love to hear an explanation. I'd love to hear a rationale. And then, why now are dirty sneakers in? Like, this defies logic. Why would you spend $560 and then want them dirty? Purposely dirty them up. How does having dirty sneakers look cool? And this is, again, I don't understand fashion. Thank God I'm not rich. Thank God I'm not anywhere, I guess, in society that hangs out with people that wear stuff like this or think this stuff is in vogue. Or, I'll go even a step further, who thinks of this? Like, how are these a trend? Who thinks, you know what, we're not only going to have white sneakers, we're going to put some zebra stripes on it, we're going to put some glitter on it. Let's dirty them up. Let's wear them in the mud. Let's scuff them up. Maybe there's some new pavement down the road we can walk into, get some pavement, get some cement on the shoes. Maybe run in a dirt field, go to a dirt patch, run around there. I don't understand it. And then say, these are going to be so these are going to be so costly, these are going to be so in vogue. We're going to charge, I should say, $560, and people are going to buy them. That's another thing too. You can price them. Supply and demand. People, I'm guessing, are buying them if they're this much money. So that just blew my mind yesterday. I thought about it all day. Who would buy them? Why they want them dirty? And why do people think those shoes are worth $560? Who, like, if you go to a homeless shelter, that's where you find those kind of sneakers. And I'm sure they're given away for free. People are actively and willingly spending $560 to buy ugly sneakers. And that's just not just those, dude. It goes with the Kanye sneakers, those things, and he's selling shells of shoes or something like that, if you know what I'm talking about, that go for insane amounts of money. So fashion, I mean, just being a very novice outsider kind of guy, fashion to me looks like how can we make the ugliest thing possible, charge as much money as possible, and people will call it fashion. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. So any explanation, I am very curious in why this is, why the fashion now has gone this way, why people think this is a good look. Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, @Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter. Please enlighten me. As you can see, I am very uncultured when it comes to what people are wearing and why they're wearing it. Any guidance would be greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. So we'll get to that. I do want to talk about some college football cancellations and their impact on the college football playoff. This week especially, right, we've seen cancellations all throughout the college football season so far. We've been underway for essentially 2 months. Games have been canceled. Not a big deal. It happens. This week, though, is interesting because there's been a lot of cancellations and some high-profile cancellations. These are games that aren't being played this weekend. I'll read you the list. Number 1, Alabama at LSU, canceled. Number 3, Ohio State at Maryland, canceled. Number 5, Texas A&M at Tennessee. Number 12, Georgia at Missouri. Number 24, Auburn at Missouri. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ranked opponents having their games canceled because of coronavirus outbreaks on one team or another. So because games are getting canceled, it's getting now, as we get later in the season, tougher and tougher and tougher to reschedule games. Right? Some teams, this is not their first cancellation. There's not too much wiggle room with trying to make up a lot of games before conference championships are played, before the playoff starts. It seems like we have no indication. And there's not going to be the college football playoff getting pushed back, right? The semis are on January 1st. It seems it's going to stay on January 1st. They're not moving back. They're not going to give teams extra weeks to try to make up games. So however many games you fit in, that's really what the criteria the committee is going to judge on. That's all you can have to try to make your case as for the playoff. So this is going to be the case. If games aren't going to be made up, or if they're going to be postponed later on, and if enough games pile up where you can't make up every game, this should change, I hope, the criteria that we set forward to decide college football playoff teams. Now, before I go any further, I understand this really only impacts 1, maybe 2 teams. Because there's no argument Clemson's going to get in the playoff. Or I should say the winner. We'll put it, the winner of Clemson Notre Dame. We'll give Notre Dame their fair due. The winner of Clemson Notre Dame in the ACC title game is getting in. Alabama's getting in. We think Ohio State's getting in. But this really brings home the point of the eye test more than anything else needs to be important, needs to be factored in more than any other metric. Because if this team is playing like the best team in the country, no matter how many games they've played, they should be in the playoff. Because you think about it, right? If you want to talk about, oh, well, this team only played 8 games, this team played 11 games, they had a cancellation here, this team fit everything in, you have bigger sample size, you have more games to play, but you should give them the benefit of the doubt. This year, if everything went perfectly, right, since the new schedules were brought out and since conferences slowly started replaying, if everything went perfectly, there's no COVID outbreaks, since the new schedule came about, these conferences weren't playing equal amount of games anyway. I'll read you, these are the scheduled games, the amount of games that were supposed to happen when the brand new schedules or the latest results of the schedules were put out there, try to fit a season in this year. The SEC was playing 10 games. ACC was playing 11 games. The Big Ten, 8 games. The Big 12, similar to SEC, is playing 10. Pac-12 is playing 6. So if everything gone perfectly, teams are still playing different amount of games. Nothing was going to line up perfectly. And you're still going to have an SEC team, maybe the second best SEC team, play 2 or 3 more games than an Ohio State, than an Oregon, than maybe the second best team in the Big 10, the Big 12. So things weren't ever equal to begin with. And now, especially for a conference like the Big 10, who gave themselves no wiggle room with starting late, who was trying to play 9 games in 9 weeks, including the conference championship, you have a team in Ohio State have a game count against Maryland. Not going to be made up, so that's it. So the most Ohio State can play, games-wise, is 8. We look at the ACC could play 12. The SEC could play 11. So you could have an Alabama playing 3 more games, a Florida, a Texas A&M playing 3 more games than Ohio State. You could have an ACC team, the loser of Clemson Notre Dame, could theoretically, if everything goes to plan, play 4 more games than Ohio State. But to me, the amount of games don't matter. It's about what you see with your eyes. Because truly, we will never get a chance to really figure out which conference is good, which conference is bad. Right? No out-of-conference games at all this year. Except for the ACC, they played 1, but they didn't play any big-time conference. So all 5 Power 5 conferences are essentially confined to playing each other. So sure, we could see some teams like the Big 10, for example. Penn State 0-3, Michigan 1-2, Wisconsin's played only 1 game. In theory, the Big 10 is down this year. While the SEC, as we know, Georgia was in the mix, Florida's looking good, Alabama's looking good. The ACC has 2 teams with Notre Dame and Clemson playing well. Some other teams on the bottom rung playing better than expected. But we truly don't know how good each conference is because we don't get a sample size outside of their conference. So, for example, a team like Texas A&M, top 10 in the country. They lost to Alabama. They beat Florida. This is a team that probably will win out. The SEC just isn't great this year, at least on paper. This is a team that's going to win out. They'll have 1 loss being Alabama. They'll have a nice win over Florida. They're going to be chirping for the playoff. They'll be talking about how they have 4 more games than Ohio State. They'll be talking about how they beat a top 10 team in Florida. Unfortunately for Ohio State, their best win, no hyperbole here, could be Indiana. Indiana could be Ohio State's best win in their resume this year, depending on how Wisconsin finishes and things shake out. But so far, Indiana is a top 10 team. And the rest of the big games for Ohio State, those teams are going down the wayside. So to me, at least, the number of games don't matter. If Ohio State plays 7 games, 8 games, if they continue to play the way they're playing, put them in the playoff. So no one's really saying this now. I'm trying to get out ahead of this conversation. Because with each Big Ten cancellation, it's less opportunities for Ohio State to flex their muscles. They're not going to get made up, so that's it. The game's over. 1 last game. Sorry, Justin Fields. Sorry, Ryan Day. Sorry, Ohio State. And we're going to have that big of a gap where you could have a Texas A&M with 1 loss play 4 more games. Or I guess I should say 3 more games. My apologies. I'm not the best math guy, depending on how the schedule rolls for them. It's a big gap. But that's why, to me, the eye test has to be the number 1 most important factor when talking about college football playoff. Which team looks good, which team on paper dominates their competition, that should be the one going in. That's the one that should be going in. So guys, we'll get your college football playoff thoughts. Not a great slate of games this weekend. Again, more big games canceled than we're actually going to have this weekend. One of the biggest games is going to be, at least the ABC 7:30 primetime slot, is going to be Wisconsin, Michigan. Yikes. When we come back, the poll question is out there. I'll read your results. Who is the best team in the NFC? The Packers, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers, the Saints. All 4 teams, I think, can make an argument for, make an argument against. I'll rank the 4 teams in the NFC. We'll get your thoughts when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
So we are back here on the Ryan Hickey Show. Hour number 2, coming to you live from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios with its great pizza, hot heroes, and phenomenal dinners. Check out Big Italy Pizzeria in person in Medford, Joe's Pizzeria in Bayshore, or online wherever you are across the country, nationwide, worldwide, just like our network at BigItalyPizza.com. So really excited about this next question here and this next topic because I think it's a good one. It's an interesting one. We put a poll question out yesterday. I'll read you the results of that in a second here. But who is the best team in the NFC? I think 4 teams have separated themselves by far without really a question. All right? In the NFC, I think the best 4 teams, without a doubt, you have in no particular order, the Saints, Buccaneers, Seahawks, Packers, right? No one from the NFC East is in that discussion. NFC West is tough, but so far the Rams are kind of in the middle. I don't feel comfortable personally saying the Cardinals are one of the best 4 teams in the NFC right now. No one really in the NFC North because Bears stink. Everyone else is under 500 in that division. So I think it's fair to say 4 teams have separated themselves in the NFC so far, which is, again, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Buccaneers, and the Saints. I was thinking about this the other day. How would you rank them? Take it as a 4-team race. And I think all 4 have redeeming qualities, can make a legitimate case for why they are the best team in the NFC right now, halfway through the season. And all 4 have some warts, have some concerns that say, you know what? That unit scares me. The way they played scares me. Their wins against bad teams scare me. I think there's plenty of different areas you can point to for all 4 teams, critique them, pick them apart. Say, you know what? They're not the best team in the NFC. So I want to get to the poll question first here. We'll get to your thoughts. And again, if you want to write on Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, or tweet me at Ryan Hickey Show. Go to your 4 thoughts. How would you order these 4 teams? The Seahawks, the Buccaneers, the Saints, and the Packers. Let's get your order. On Twitter, I put this poll question out yesterday. Who is the best team in the NFC right now? Right now. And that's the operative word is right now. Sitting here on November 12th, 2020. Not who has the best future going forward. Not who still could, at the end of the day, make the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Right now, halfway through the season, who is the best team in the NFC right now? We'll go from 4 to 1 here on Twitter, at least. Buccaneers were last at 5.3%. Not even close. Buccaneers by far in the basement. Obviously, recency bias coming into a little bit of a factor here with all of us watching that just total beatdown by the Saints to the Bucs on Sunday Night Football a few nights ago. So the Bucs are last. The Packers are third at 26%. The Seahawks are second at 28%. And by far and away, almost 40% of the vote are the Saints, and number 1, New Orleans Saints is what you guys just on Twitter have thrown out there and saying that's why, to me, they are the best team in the NFL. I'll give you my order. I'll go 4 to 1. And again, Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show. Also on Twitter. Love to get your thoughts. Love to hear your 4 teams in order of which way you think they're going to roll, which way you think you're going to be. Instagram will pull up here quickly as well because I did put up a poll on Instagram. Although it's a little tougher with Instagram. I do want to throw that critique out there. Instagram's a little tougher because you can't put 4 options at once. Twitter, boom, the other 4 teams, you pick one. Twitter, I kind of have to go individual polls here. So I put on polls on Instagram. Again, Ryan Hickey Show if you want to vote on Instagram. Who is the best team in the NFL? 32% of you said the Seahawks. 35% say the Saints. 11% say the Buccaneers. 45% say the Buccaneers. That's wild, actually. The Packers. 45% of you say the Packers are the best team in the NFL right now. Saints 2, Seahawks 3, Packers 4. Buccaneers 4. Interesting. Very interesting how Instagram and Twitter differ as vastly as it does. I'll give you my thoughts, though, as we get a little NFL music here to spice it up. I'll go from 4 to 1. Number 4 to me is the Green Bay Packers. Instagram says they're the best team in the NFC right now. Twitter had them 3rd. I'm going to say right now the Packers are 4th for a few reasons. I'll give the Packers credit first. They feel more legit through 8 games this year than they did last year, right? Last year they go 13-3. It felt very fraudulent at times. They didn't really dominate any of their opponents. The offense was sputtering. It it wasn't world beaters. Aaron Rodgers did not look like the normal Aaron Rodgers that we're used to. But this year, I will give Aaron Rodgers and his offense a lot of credit. It looks more dynamic. It's more potent. Rodgers so far, halfway through the year, 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And if you look last year, he had just 26 touchdown passes last year. He has 24 halfway through the year. So he's on a better pace. Again, the offense is scoring more touchdowns than they did last year. But my concern about the Packers last year is the same concern about the Packers this year, and it's why, to me, out of the 4 teams, out of the Buccaneers, Saints, Seahawks, and Packers, I have the Pack at number 4. Last year, we go to the offseason, right? They go 13-3. They get just blown out by San Fran in the NFC title game. What did we say the Packers needed to do in the offseason? Get a wide receiver. Get Aaron Rodgers some help. They go through free agency. They sign, to be fair to them, they signed Devin Funchess. Is he going to be the difference maker? I'm not sure. He opted out, so we don't really know how he fit into this offense. You go into a wide receiver-heavy draft. Draft analysts are talking about how this is the most deep wide receiver class maybe in draft history. You can get a bona fide starting wide receiver in round 3, in round 4. There are some opportunities here for a team to get a massive steal and get some value for the wide receiver position. And what do the Packers do? Round number 1, they trade up. Okay. Big wide receiver pick here coming. They go quarterback. Round number 2, they draft running back. The 2 positions the Packers had solidified last year, quarterback and running back, they draft a quarterback and running back. So, because they didn't address the offense, they didn't address the wide receiver position, seeing how this season has shook out so far, I'm concerned about the depth behind Davante Adams. Now, Davante Adams has been incredible. He is playing like one of, if not the best wide receiver. He is the best wide receiver this year in the game. Strictly this year, through 2020, Davante Adams is playing the best wide receiver in the NFL. But here's what I don't like behind Davante Adams. The leading receivers on the Packers in terms of receptions are as follows. Robert Tonyan, a little-known tight end before this year, Aaron Jones, and Jamal Williams. So, a come-out-of-nowhere tight end and 2 running backs are your leading receivers in terms of receptions behind Davante Adams. That gets me concerned because as we get later in the year, as the games get better, and more important, if teams try to take away Davante Adams, I am nervous about the receiving core behind Davante Adams. That's why, to me, I have the Packers at number 4. They're playing great. They feel more legit than last year. But the wide receiver depth does scare me. That's why, to me, at least, I had the Packers at number 4. At number 3, through halfway through the season, I have the Seattle Seahawks, to me, as the 3rd best team in the NFC. They have an incredibly good offense, a historically bad defense. It's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on the same team. We'll go with the good first for the Seahawks. Russell Wilson has been incredible. 1st in the NFL in touchdown passes, 4th in the NFL in passing yards, 4th in QB rating. As a team, Seattle's scoring the most points in the NFL, and they are the 4th most efficient offense. So they're getting it done on the offensive end. There's no doubt. But you have DK Metcalf now emerging into, frankly, an unguardable stud, if you will, right? No team seems to be able to slow him down. He's going into year 2. He has some legitimate top receiver in the NFL vibes coming from him in year number 2. Tyler Lockett has been a great deep threat for the Seahawks. So the weapons around Russell Wilson are deadly and potent. There's no doubt about the Seahawks offense. Why, to me, I have them 3rd on this list so far. It's because their defense, and it's not only is it bad, it is brutal. Last in total defense, allowing 455 yards per game to their opponents. Worst pass defense in the NFL. Not something you want to be good at. They struggle with getting a pass rush. Not where you want to be. They're allowing the 3rd most points per game in the NFL. So for how good they are in offense, for how high they rank in every statistical category, that's how bad they are in defense. So they're top of the NFL in offense. They are bottom of the rung in defense. Last in total defense. Worst pass defense in the NFL. Terrible at getting a pass rush. 3rd most points per game on defense allowed. Polar opposites. Hot and cold. Fire and ice, however you want to call it. And the reason why this gets me nervous is because now, all of a sudden, you've seen the last few games against the Cardinals and against the Bills this past week in the Lays example, Russell Wilson playing or needing to play hero mode. needing to try to force throws and make plays because he realizes that defense can't stop a nosebleed. You put that defense on the field, you're screwed. They're scoring 7. So Wilson's trying to make more plays, and that's leading to more turnovers. He's had 7 turnovers the last 3 games. 3 interceptions against the Cardinals, 2 picks, 2 fumbles against the Bills. He's trying to do more because the defense can't do anything. So the good news for Seattle, and they can climb this list easily. To me, their ceiling is the highest of any of these 4 teams. I believe that. Because they don't have to improve that much on defense. Look at the Chiefs last year. The Chiefs were awful, god-awful at run defense last year. Bottom of the ranks. Their defense was getting gashed. Halfway through the year, they finally picked it up, and they were just mediocre. Bad. They went from historically bad, worse than the NFL, god-awful, putrid, to just being mediocre. Just being bad. That level, that marginal fix from going from 30th in the NFL, let's say, to 20th, you're still bad. But you're not killing your team now. That is all the Seahawks have to do. That is the only jump they have to make. Go from incredibly bad just to bad. Horrendous to putrid. Or maybe not putrid. Horrendous to mediocre. That's all. So the jump isn't that high. We'll see if they can do it. But right now, because the defense is just playing lights out in a terrible way. Lights out, game's over. The offense can't score enough to keep up. That's why I have the Seahawks at number 3. So Packers 4, Seahawks 3. I have the Buccaneers at 2. One thing both Twitter and Instagram, the polls I put out yesterday, both agreed upon, was the Buccaneers were last out of these 4 teams. Now, I understand it. Again, we watch on Sunday Night Football, we watch the Buccaneers get embarrassed. Like, it wasn't a close game. They gave you no reason to have confidence in them. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just blind to the errors and the flaws that the Buccaneers have. But I really do chalk up that loss to the Saints on Sunday night last week as just whatever could happen, whatever could go wrong did go wrong. A Murphy's Law game, if you will. I don't think, and I'm not really taking much out of that Buccaneers game, thinking that they're going to be really bad. I just chalk it up as to the defense played bad, the offense played bad. It's one of those games where nothing went your way. And for the Saints, everything went their way. They got every break imaginable. They were clicking. They were playing really well. And you caught a really good team on a really bad night. Because this Buccaneers team is still very well balanced. Despite giving up the 38 points they did to the Saints on Sunday Night Football, this is still the most efficient defense in the NFL. They still the best run defense in the NFL. And again, despite just getting embarrassed and beat up by the Saints, they're still top 10 in points allowed per game. So the defense statistically is still up there with some of the best in the NFL. And again, I believe over the long run, the defense will play better, play to that standard than they did play on Sunday night. The offense can still score. Despite scoring 3 points against the Saints, they're still 9th in points per game on offense. Tom Brady is still 4th in the NFL with 20 touchdown passes. So to me, I said this earlier. I said this on Monday, and I'm going to repeat it here. I view the Buccaneers like the Clippers of the NBA. Going into last year, or going into this past season, I should say, the Clippers were viewed with the Lakers as some of the best teams in the NBA. Now, at points, the Clippers didn't play like it. They're trying to feel each other out, trying to figure out how to get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the same page with some of the core guys that have been there for a while, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, etc., right? I thought that at the end, they were kind of building towards being one of the best teams in the postseason. So sure, they'll lose some bad games. They maybe get embarrassed on a primetime game here or there against a team they should beat. But in the end, they will play their best basketball when it comes to the postseason. That's how I view the Buccaneers. They've been playing, honestly, better than I've expected so far this year, to be quite honest. Tom Brady's played better than I thought. And now because I thought Tom Brady's washed up, I just thought because he's going to a new offense, because the offseason was anything but normal, I thought it would take some time to get accustomed to the wide receivers, get used to the new offensive scheme. And I thought, by week 14, 15, 16, they would hit their stride. So they've actually played better than I thought so far. So I'm not too concerned with the Buccaneers. They had one bad game, and yes, it came against the Saints. And yes, it came on Sunday Night Football, so everyone's watching. I'm still not panicked about the Buccaneers. This team is very, very well-rounded. They have depth at every skill position, so they have the Packers beat there. They have still a top 10 defense in the NFL, something that Seattle can't say will never be able to say this year. Also having a pretty balanced and good offensive attack. So to me, despite the loss, I'm not panicking the Buccaneers. I still think they are one of the best teams in the NFL. Sure, their most recent game was a stinker. That's all it was. One game, a one-off. That's what to me. I saw the Buccaneers at number 2. So Packers 4, Seahawks 3, Buccaneers 2 means the Saints obviously are number 1. They are extremely well-rounded. You talk about having it on both sides of the ball. Defense, they're 4th in total defense. The second fewest rushing yards allowed per game. 7th in defensive efficiency. Defense is top 10 in a lot of categories. Offense, top 10 in a lot of categories. Scoring the 4th most points per game. They're averaging 30.5 points per game. Impressive showing so far, and that's without Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders playing together for a majority of the season. 9th in total yards per game. They have the 6th most efficient offense. So 7th most efficient defense, 6th most efficient offense. And for the Saints, you're getting healthy at the right time. Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas both returned to the lineup Sunday night against the Bucs. So they're getting healthier. Their weapons are returning. Saints are playing the best football right now. Now, I will say this. I've said this really going back to week 2. I still don't think the Saints are the biggest Super Bowl threat when it all is said and done. These rankings are just right now, halfway through the season, who is the best team in the NFL. I'm saying it's the Saints. But if we're talking about Super Bowl capabilities, who I think will represent the NFC for the Super Bowl, I'm not picking the Saints. I'm not. This, to me, is classic Saints, where they play their best football, where they peak during the middle of the season. And that's what they're doing right now. They're hitting their stride. They're getting healthier. The defense is playing great. The offense is playing great. Everything is clicking. So through 9 weeks, sure, the Saints are the best team in the NFC. I don't think we'll be saying that at the end of the year. I don't think we'll be saying that when we're talking about the Super Bowl. But right now, through 9 weeks, that's what the question is. Who is the best team in the NFC right now? My order, Packers 4, Seahawks 3, Buccaneers 2, Saints 1. On Twitter, we are in agreement, surprisingly. Twitter and I agree. 40% of you say the Saints are the best team, followed by the Seahawks, the Packers, and the Buccaneers dead last. Dead last. Very interesting. So I'm curious your order. Now that you heard my order, Packers, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Saints, what's your order? Who are the best teams in the NFC? We'll get your thoughts. Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, at Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter. Tweet me your thoughts. You can write on the Facebook live stream your order, top 4 teams in the NFC. Type it on Twitter, write on Periscope your top 4 teams in the NFC. We will get your thoughts. And when we come back, Jerry Jones has asked a question about drafting a quarterback. He laughed at the notion. He scoffed at the notion. I'll tell you why Jerry should stop laughing. We'll play the audio. I'll tell you why Jerry should stop laughing. Start scouting. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show right here, exclusively on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Hickey's Pickies. 20 minutes from now, very excited. Mike Pooley will be our guest picker. Not only are we excited about Hickey's Pickies and the 5 games we got going on here this week, he's a Masters expert. Obviously, the Masters going on today. A little November edition. Autumn at Augusta, if you will. Very excited to get his thoughts, and we'll get a little predictions. Can Tiger go back-to-back? Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, Rory going for the career Grand Slam. A lot of interesting and fun storylines to go along with the Masters this weekend. Pooley will give us his thoughts, give a little prediction. Maybe we'll give him some bonus points if one of his picks goes well. We did the upset special for bonus points, but we'll give him a special exception. A little Masters double dip, if you will. So very excited for that. Just about 20 minutes or so from now to close out the show, as we do every single Thursday right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. So I do want to get into Jerry Jones' comments and really the future of the Dallas Cowboys quarterback situation. Obviously, it's a question every single year, right? Dak Prescott, is he a franchise guy? Is he not a franchise guy? We have that argument really since 2016. Do you pay the money? Is he worth the money? Is he not worth the money? Obviously, we know the franchise tag and contract extensions played out. They did not get a deal done. Dak played on a one-year deal this year. Gets hurt, unfortunately. Now he's out for the rest of the year. And guess what? We'll do this song and dance all over again next year. Is Dak worth the money? Should the Cowboys pay him long term? Will he play on the franchise tag? Will he go somewhere else? Will the Cowboys even offer him the franchise tag? Tons and tons and tons of speculation. Tons of questions. Jerry Jones, though, the man you want to hear from, right? The man with all the answers in theory. He's the one making this decision. He's the one determining, is Dak worth the money? Do we want Dak here long term? Would he be a good fit? How can we make sure he's on our team next year and for future years? He was asked on 105 through the Fan earlier this week, with the Cowboys, with the high projected pick they could get, would they draft a quarterback? Would it be crazy to think they would draft a quarterback? Here's how Jerry responded to that question.
You asked me if it's crazy to bring the idea up, and I'm answering you, yes. We're playing games here, guys, but it's not the thing to be talking about at all. You know, Dak is our quarterback.
It's crazy to bring up in terms of would you draft a quarterback. Dak is our quarterback. Let's stop playing games here. Cowboys obviously have had a season from hell. 2-7 on the year. According to ESPN, to their draft projections, Cowboys are expected to get the number 3 pick in the draft. Now, I don't assume the Jets will pass over Trevor Lawrence. I don't assume the Jaguars at number 2 would bypass Justin Fields. If one of those quarterbacks were to get passed over, I think it's a no-brainer. Sorry, Dak, hit the road. You're getting that franchise quarterback moving on. But even if neither of them are available for the Cowboys at number 3, to me, I think Jerry is still wrong. He's laughing at the fact and calling it crazy that the Cowboys would draft a quarterback this year with the high pick that they're going to have. Jerry, I'm telling you, this is the way out. Drafting a quarterback going forward, to me, is the answer for the Cowboys to finally get out of this malaise they've been in for over 2 decades. Every year, it's the same thing. And especially in recent years, we'll go strictly recently with Dak Prescott at quarterback. This is the final of the year. The Cowboys got everything going. The offensive line is healthier. Their weapons now are even deeper than they were before. This is the year. The division's up for grabs. Last year, especially, the division was up for grabs. Cowboys still the most talented team, one of the most talented teams in the NFL. They go 8-8, miss the playoffs. Fire Jason Garrett, bring in Mike McCarthy. Okay. The offense is going to get more aggressive. Dak's here. Look at us go. They start 1-3 with Dak as their quarterback before he gets hurt out for the year. So I think, Jerry, this is the time, Jerry. This is the gift you were given. Time to draft a quarterback and start over for a few reasons. Number one, money is going to be tight in 2021. Cowboys and Jerry Jones have deep pockets. But in the NFL, with that hard cap, they have no room for margin. They have no wiggle room here. They can't get out of that. So 2021 is going to be very tight. Currently, as you sit here today on November 12th, Cowboys have about $34 million in cap space available in 2021. Why is that problematic? Because the franchise tag that Dak Prescott would play under, remember, he played under the franchise tag this year, 1-year deal. It's an average of top 5 quarterback salaries in the NFL. Last year was about $31 million, or I guess this season, I apologize. This season he was playing under $31 million. If he is franchise tagged again next year, that cost is $37 million. If you want a long-term deal, Dak wants in the area of 35 or more for a short-term contract. Right? He wants 4 years. The Cowboys wanted 5 years. They could never figure out and agree on the years. It wasn't the money. It was the years that they couldn't get ironed out. And they ended up having that go by the wayside. Now, 1 year later, I'm assuming the years will still be a holding point for Dak Prescott. I'm assuming years will still be a sticking point for the Cowboys. So if you don't get a long-term deal done, and you can't spread the money out, but you want Dak as your quarterback in 2021, his salary alone is eating up all the cap space you have and more. So guess what that does? Guys are getting cut. Guys are getting traded because they can't afford them. Or you are not able to address other parts of your team. Because guess what? I know, obviously, Dak Prescott got hurt, and the Cowboys have gone in the tank. Dak Prescott's injury isn't the reason why the Cowboys are 2-7. Again, they were 1-3 when he was their starting quarterback. The defense is putrid. They have a lot of holes on this team, especially the defensive side of the ball, that need to be addressed. Secondary needs a lot of help. Defensive line needs help. And we talk about 2021, because we're in a pandemic season, because there's no fans in the stands, because spending is less than normal, the salary cap, which has gone up year after year after year after year, it's not increasing. If it's stagnant, it's a win, let alone maybe if it goes down. So the Cowboys may even have less cap space than we think next year. And already Dak Prescott blows through the remaining cap space if he signs a franchise tag next year. So the Cowboys don't have that much wiggle room in terms of money in 2021. Like I just said, they need to spend that money through the draft, through free agency, through trades, to shore up that defense. This defense, as we all know, we've all seen it, has been awful. Putrid. They are last in points per game allowed, allowing 32 points per game. They are second to last in rushing yards allowed per game. They are 23rd in defensive efficiency. They struggle getting after the quarterback. They have the second worst point differential in the NFL, save only for the Jets. They're at minus 86 point differential on the year. So guess what? Guess what signing Dak Prescott to a long-term contract, signing Dak Prescott to a franchise tag, guess what that doesn't allow the Cowboys to do? Address the defensive side of the ball. Again, this is not a one-time fix here. This is not just, let's bring one guy in, that's all we need. This is almost an entire reshaping or remodeling. This is a house. You're borderline thinking about knocking the house down and rebuilding it. That's how bad this defense has been. And that needs a lot of draft capital. That needs a lot of free agent help. That needs a lot of salary cap money tied into going to the defensive end. And guess what? You won't have that if you re-sign Dak. So all three levels need help, need to be addressed. And guess what? Signing Dak Prescott won't allow for that to happen. And finally, what if you do draft a young quarterback? Look at the position you put him in. You give him an offensive line with a ton of cohesion. Now, I understand, obviously, injuries have really derailed this offensive line this year, but there's still a lot of talent there. When everyone's healthy, this is still one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Most, if not all, are locked up long-term, so this is not a situation that's in flux where every year we're going to try to be piecing together the offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. This is set in stone. These guys are going to be here for a while. La'el Collins, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin. These guys aren't going anywhere. So you're going to give a young quarterback, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, whoever, whatever quarterback at number 3 that you have. And again, that's assuming that Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence go 1-2. If not, if one of those is gifted to you, if you're the Cowboys at number 3, you jump all over that and you run home. Say, thank you very much. This is the worst mistake that's these teams can make. And this will start a new dynasty in Dallas. But you bring a young quarterback in with a experienced and solid offensive line. Look at the weapons he's going to be able to throw to. You have Amari Cooper under contract. You have Michael Gallup. You have CeeDee Lamb you just drafted. This wide receiver core has tons of talent. Ezekiel Elliott, I was a proponent of signing Zeke, I will admit. I thought he was the straw that stirred the drink for the Cowboys in order to steal a line Jerry Jones said when describing Zeke. I thought the Cowboys needed Zeke, and he was the focal point of their offense. I thought, you know what? This is a good bargain. Sign the man. They did so, and I'll be honest, it's backfired. Zeke has looked terrible. He has looked awful since getting that deal. He's slower. He's fumbling the ball a lot. He hasn't been nearly as effective in either the passing game or the running game as he has in his first few years with the Cowboys. So, yeah, I am a little concerned about the running back situation. But, again, an offensive line is solid. You have great weapons to throw to. So, already you see, when you put a young quarterback in positions like that to succeed, they can get off to fast starts. Look at Justin Herbert with the Chargers. Decent offensive line, good weapons to throw the ball to, he's having success. I think that same success could be had in Dallas if the Cowboys draft a young quarterback, because you're putting him in position to succeed, and you're giving him weapons to throw the ball to right away. So you have a good offensive line, you have good wide receivers. That low cap number for a quarterback, for a rookie quarterback, will allow the defense to be addressed. So in theory, the defense will be nowhere near as bad as this year, which is a big win. And not to mention, let's look at the division. The NFC East is way up for grabs. This is not a division where you have no shot at winning, where if you draft a rookie quarterback, you're essentially waving the white flag. This is not a rebuild situation. This could be a reload situation for Dallas if they play their cards right. This is wide open next year. And the Cowboys have a chance to win the division and build something sustainable. So Jerry did it back in 2016. He built a sustainable winner through the draft in 2016, right? He got Zeke, he got Dak. He built the offensive line through the draft in past years. Why not try to do the same thing again this year with the draft? Take advantage of your high draft picks and get talented players on this team on both sides of the ball, and let's go. You're already strong with Dak Prescott. You could bring a young quarterback in and have success. They went 13-3 Dak's first year in 2016. I think the same sort of success could be had with another young quarterback that you take in the draft. So to me, Jerry's laughing, calling it crazy, not even considering the fact that the Cowboys would take a quarterback. Now, to his defense, I'll admit, I understand why you say that. You're not going to say, yeah, we're going to draft a quarterback. Yeah, we're thinking about it. Maybe we'll move on from Dak. I understand you don't say that. You keep it behind closed doors, but you're not going to say it publicly. But I hope that this is just a front. I hope internally, when he's off the radio, when he's in the war room, when he's in the Star, I hope Jerry is scouting and not laughing, because that would be a very smart decision. I think would honestly change the Cowboys' fortunes for the better. If they reverse course, let Dak go somewhere else, let another team pay him a boatload of dough, and you draft a young quarterback and try to put him, or give him the weapons, I should say, that the Cowboys have already, address the defense with that available cap space, and try to reload this team instead of rebuild and have a legitimate chance. Not a hope. Because as we've seen, hope is not a strategy. Cowboys, I feel like the last few years have hoped to win the division, hope to make the playoffs. Now set yourself up to actually take that division by a stranglehold. That starts with drafting a quarterback in the draft. That's my spiel. That's my thoughts. Are the Cowboys better off not signing Dak Prescott? I understand we're going to be talking about this for months and months and months to come, but Jerry Jones spoke about it this week and wanted to hit on it and wanted to at least relitigate my thoughts of why I think it's a very smart decision for the Dallas Cowboys to let Dak Prescott walk, draft a quarterback, and start over. So curious your thoughts. We'll get them on Worldwide Sports Network, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter. But when we come back, as we always do, every Thursday at 10:40, Hickey's Pickies with a little bonus Masters coverage. We'll do that with Mike Pooley next. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back into the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. 10:40, Hickey's Pickies time. I'm very excited. Playing a little Flow Rider, because that's the only intro our next guest could come into, music-wise. A Flow Rider diehard, if you will. A Penn State man, so a very, very, very smart man. It is the great Mike Pouliafico. We call him Pooley for short. Pooley, what's up, stud?
What's up, Hick? I was gonna say I miss you, and now I'm kind of insulted by that intro. You're the Flow Rider enthusiast yourself. Very insulted by that.
Well, I can't lie. I may be using you as an excuse to play some Flow Rider on the show. That is for sure. Your tweet earlier this week putting Flow Rider as part of the background I should use definitely kind of is like, you know what? I haven't played Flow in a while. He's coming on this week. Let's save it for him. Because I know. Although
Welcome to Pooley's House was the gag senior year, so.
That and you know what? Wiener's been listening today. I know he's the one that always.
I know that was his thing. So and he's listening, so it's perfect for him.
I'm just gonna say this. I love Wiener. I appreciate him listening. Nothing drove me more crazy when he would do that. I would get so mad every time. Welcome to Our House by Flo Rida played in college. He would always scream, "Welcome to Pooley's house." Is there any? I never asked. Is there any reason why for that?
Yeah, we had like a party at my house at our like apartment, and like these like anti-poons like started saying like "Welcome to Pooley's house," and like he overheard it, and like that was like the worst person to overhear it, and then like he just ran with the joke.
That is all right. That makes sense. That makes sense. Unfortunately, yeah, that is the one song, honestly, of Flo Rida that I've hated only because of that. Because now I can never hear that song without thinking and picturing Wiener screaming in any any bar we're at. Welcome to Pooley's house. Like, oh my God, this is.
But better times, right?
Yeah, good times. Good times when life was easy. Speaking of easy, Pooley, it's been a struggle with these guest pickers so far this year. I will not lie. Lauren started off, set the bar extremely high, 5-0. Our guy Nick goes 4-1. Very impressive by him. Almost 5-0. He was close. I think that came down to the Bills-Chiefs game, and unfortunately the Bills couldn't get it done for him. And he goes 4-1. Other than that, in terms of just no bonus points for upset specials or anything else, no other guest picker has gone 4-1 or better so far. So it's kind of tough sledding. How are you feeling about this?
Well, man, we had to postpone for last week because I would have been the first person to pick the upset. Maryland was a go-to last week. That would have been 2 points, easy money.
You are all over the Terps, huh?
All over the Terps. That would have been so easy. But we'll see if we can make it up this week.
All right, week number 10 set to go. It's a weird week with a lot of college football cancellations. Not a great slate, kind of either way, to be honest, pro or college. But we'll make the best of it. Sorry, Pooh. What are you gonna say?
No, very, very hard research with COVID. I'll say that at least. Half these rosters, I don't even know who's playing on Saturday, but we'll figure it out.
Oh, I know. College football is a crapshoot, especially for one of the games where we're gonna pick here later on. It is. This is like honestly, all 5 games we could flip a coin, but for week number 10, Pooh, we'll see how it goes. Are you ready to go, sir?
We are ready. Let's do it.
All right. We'll start with the game tonight. Colts getting 2 points on the road, divisional matchup, AFC South on the line, possibly, against the Titans. Which way are you rolling here?
So I hate picking Thursday night games. I feel like they're always end up being garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like Tennessee's coming back down to earth a little bit after the hot start, and I do think that Indy's run defense is really good. So I don't love the pick, but I'm gonna take the points in the Colts tonight.
I'm with you, and I'm at this point I'm just taking the points. I did a segment earlier on who needs this game more, and I couldn't even give a winner because honestly, yesterday I was thinking about it all day. All right, back and forth. I kind of feel like I don't trust Phil Rivers at all, but at the same time, it's like to your point, the Titans haven't really been playing convincing football. Defense, they kind of stink on defense. Let's just call it for what it is.
Yeah, they're awful on defense.
So I think this is a chance for the Colts to have some success. And I still don't trust Ryan Tannehill. Like you said, the Colts' run defense is great. Do you trust Ryan Tannehill if Derrick Henry can't get going? If it's like a 50-yard on like 23 carries sort of night for him. Do you trust Ryan Tannehill to win the game? I don't.
Well, that's what it seems like it's been, is that they haven't got the, like last week. I think he had like 60 yards rushing. They couldn't get the run game going, and it's a struggle. It
is. So I'm with you. To me, this is a very close game. Like you said, Thursday night games are always weird, especially in a divisional matchup. They know each other really well. I'll take the points. So I'm with you. Colts +2. I don't feel great about it because Phil Rivers can. I mean, we really haven't seen a Phil Rivers 3-interception, horrible. Like he played bad against the Browns, but I don't know. I just don't trust him to where he would actually play well and take care of the football. This could be a game where he's given the Titans some cookies there.
Yeah, he's primed for some Thursday night boneheaded thing.
Yeah,
crazy stuff happens, and there's no other better player than him tonight. So
for real. So we're both in agreement. Colts +2. It sounds like none of us really feel great about it, but we'll see how it goes. Another team getting 2 points on the road, the Buffalo Bills, going on the road to the desert to take on the Cardinals. What are you thinking here, Pooley?
All right, so my one note is shootout because both defenses are atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bills coming off arguably their biggest win of the season, and then flying to the West Coast. I'm going to go Cardinals.
Ooh.
I think I like Kyler against that defense. Come back a little bit after the disappointing loss to Miami last week, so we're rolling with the Cardinals.
I'm with you. I'm taking the Cardinals, laying the 2 at home. To your point, too, like you said, the Bills' big emotional win last week off the Seahawks, right? One thing that kind of gets me nervous is they scored 44 points. Obviously, the offense had a lot of success. That was also in part because Russell Wilson turned over 4 times, and Seattle's defense is like if me and you played defense, we had better defense in IM football than we 4 years ago than right now the Seahawks defense is playing right now. They are just putrid. If me and you lined up at receiver, we would score.
Yeah, they don't get after the quarterback at all, and you just can't win like that.
Right. So kind of everything I felt broke the Bills' way last week at home. This week, like you said, you go across the country, go to the desert. The Cardinals team played tough against the Dolphins. Kyler seemed pissed off last week after that loss. I'm taking the Cardinals at home. I think things go their way. The Bills, I just don't trust Josh Allen. Everything went their way last week. The stats look good. He played well. But again, 4 turnovers by Russ. Defense for Seattle is just putrid. And so I'm with you. I'm taking the Cardinals, laying the 2 at home. I think this is a good bounce-back spot for Kyler and this Cardinals team. Look at that. Great minds think alike. We're both on the Colts. We're both on the Cardinals. 2 for 2 so far.
Maybe it's a good sign. You're hitting on a big clip this year, so maybe I got to ride your train a little bit.
Well, I will admit, the numbers are severely. I've actually done really well in the upset special, not to brag. That's probably given me, I would be under probably 500, I can't lie, if it wasn't for the upset special with the bonus points given. So that's kind of why the record's a little inflated, I will admit. So maybe it's not the best. Maybe there's your I guess your disclaimer alert. Inflated because of the upset special. In terms of just picking 5 games straight up, it hasn't been the best year for yours truly so far. How about an NFC West battle here, Pooley? Seahawks going on the road. Speaking of a terrible defense and them coming off a brutal game against the Bills, they go on the road. LA take on the Rams. Seahawks are getting 2 points on the road. What are you thinking?
This was the hardest game out of the 5 you gave me. Obviously, Seattle coming off a tough game, flying to the East Coast, and now on the road 2 weeks in a row. LA's coming off the bye. I feel like Pete Carroll always pulls something out in these games that you don't like. They're probably at a low point in their season right now. It's just not going to. But I'm going to roll Rams coming off the bye. I think McVay will pick apart that defense coming. He's had over a week to prepare, so I'm going to roll with the Rams at home.
Interesting. We couldn't be more opposite in the picks and the mantra. This is out of the 5 games. I thought this is the easiest one, to be honest. Seahawks getting 2 points on the road. Again, I know we just basically crapped all over their defense, just laid them out there. Russ had an awful game last week. I think, to your point, this is a good bounce-back game. I don't think Russell Wilson is going to turn the ball over 4 times. Maybe I'm wrong. And not to mention, I don't know if Jared Goff is the type of quarterback that could take advantage of the Seahawks defense enough to where they are in position to lose. I think it could be a high-scoring game. I just trust the Seahawks. If it's going to be a shootout, I trust the Seahawks more, to be honest. So I'll roll with the quarterback. I'll take the points. If you're going to give me 2 points with the Seahawks, I'll take it. Again, I know their defense stinks. They're coming off a brutal loss. I just like the Seahawks in this spot. I could be wrong because the last few games I felt very confident and it's kind of backfired. No surprise. But I'll take the Seahawks here, +2 on the road over the Rams.
It's funny because this will be a revolving theme later on, but in my notes I have written down Jared Goff stinks and still take that way. So.
That's the
we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Philip Rivers stinks, but I took the Colts. But at your point, I don't really trust Josh Allen. Took the Cardinals. I'm with you. Jared Goff kind of stinks, but I'll take the Seahawks in this one. So.
Oh, Josh Allen's at the number 1 of my stinks list. I can't stand people.
I'm glad we're in agreement there. He gets a lot of love, and you can't trust him. He plays good some games, but we really rolling with Josh Allen, feeling good that he'll play.
Yeah,
a good game in a big spot here.
Do you trust him to consistently throw the ball in big games come playoff time? I don't know.
I don't.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm with you. He's got one of those guys that has to do it first, and then I'll believe it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so 2-1 so far in terms of agreement. We're both on the Colts. We're both on the Cardinals. You're taking the Rams. I'm taking the Seahawks for the 3 NFL games. These next 2 college games is almost flip a coin here. We'll go I know, this is brutal. Number 2, Notre Dame. Giving 13.5 points on the road at Boston College. Here's an interesting wrinkle. This is the red bandana game for Boston College in honor of Wells Crowther. Gets me nervous. I can't lie, Pooley. What are you thinking here in this one?
Yeah, so notes, red bandana. It's the Jerkovich revenge game. Brian Kelly didn't believe it. Jerkovich revenge game. And Notre Dame in quite literally the biggest letdown spot of all time. So we're rolling BC. Easy.
I am in agreement with you. Like you said, Jerkovich, the former Notre Dame quarterback, now at BC, getting his chance of revenge. Red bandana games, BC has beaten in these games USC in previous years, Florida State when I think Florida State was top 5, if I'm not mistaken, on like a Thursday night a few years ago. They beat Miami.
That was like one of those weeknight games and like night games that seems like, I think Miami, like you said, Miami got caught there too, I think, recently.
Right, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Florida State was like, weren't they ranked pretty high? That was like, I think it was a pretty big upset.
Could have been. Was that like the Francois teams or even earlier?
I think it was him. I should have, probably should have done the research before, and I apologize. But the point is, I'm with you on this. The red bandana game brings out the best in BC. They're getting 13.5 points at home. They've played competitive this year. Like Jeff Hafley has turned this team into a solid team. 13.5 points is a lot for Notre Dame, like you said. The biggest game, or the biggest win in our lifetime for sure. I think this has, I'm with you, letdown written all over it. It's a weird year. A lot of, even though there's going to be no fans in the stands, I still think the red bandana game means something. I think Notre Dame will still win. It's going to be a sweated out game, so I'll take the 13.5 points of BC. Are you calling an outright upset?
No,
okay.
I think Notre Dame wins, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's similar to that Clemson game where BC gets off to a hot start, and then it's just hard for Notre Dame to dig themselves out of a 14-point hole to cover, but they'll probably win by a narrow margin.
We are in total agreement with that one. We'll take the Eagles getting 13.5 at home. And finally, a total wild card. Wisconsin back in action, the 13th in the nation. They haven't played since week 1, which feels like forever ago. Graham Mertz took the Big Ten by storm. Wisconsin is 4.5-point favorites, despite not playing in 3 weeks, on the road at Michigan. I know Michigan's had their struggles. Pooley, what are you thinking here, man? What do the notes say? What do these insider notes say for this game?
So this is tough because the line is so weird, and I don't know if the odds makers are building in Graham Mertz or not. So, I don't know if you're getting value with this 4.5, if Mertz is ruled in, whether the line goes up or this was tough. And then also, we had such a small sample size from Wisconsin. They looked awesome, but they also played Illinois, which might be one of the worst teams in the country. So
them and Penn State fighting for that. Fighting for that.
Like
title.
Yeah, the battle of whose defense is more atrocious. I'm gonna roll Wisco just because I'm a Harbaugh hater, and I don't know. They've been so lackluster and just no juice at all. I feel like it's like the same thing with Penn State, where they're packing it up. We'll move on to next year.
This is so tough. I know it's tough because first of all, I don't even understand how Graham Mertz is in the running to play. I thought it was like 3 weeks. So I mean, he's possibly could play. I don't really understand how. I thought. Unless I'm missing the math here. I could be. I'm not a math guy at all. So maybe I'm missing the 21 days where it started earlier than I thought. If it's not him, Danny Vandenboom sounds like a guy that can't really be trustworthy in a situation like this. Even if Graham Mertz plays or not, I think 3 weeks off after kind of having a stop, start. They're not even practicing. Most of these guys are in isolation. I just think this is a spot where Michigan, 1 and 2, the haters are coming out. They lost again. They shouldn't have lost to Michigan State. Usually Harbaugh doesn't lose those kind of games. I think this could be a spot where Michigan, just because they played more football, and you're at home, which I understand there's no crowd, doesn't have too much of a difference, but I think this is a spot where, honestly, Michigan, under the lights, can get a win. I think this is kind of a game where Harbaugh staves off some of those vultures that are trying to get him fired. I think this could be a big Harbaugh revenge game, if you will, try to rally the troops here. I think Michigan gets it done, especially 4.5 points. I'll take the points at home for the Wolverines.
It might be a must-win, honestly. He can't lose this one.
Right?
Too.
I mean, if you're 1 and 3, you're losing to Ohio State 1 and 4, things could go down the toilet quick here.
It's looking bleak, yeah. And like I said, in this COVID season, it's hard to keep people motivated. It could go off the tracks quickly if it hasn't already.
Right. That's a good point, too, that I could play in Wisconsin's favor. I mean, this might be the biggest crapshoot out of them all, but I'll take Michigan. Oh, sorry, Poole.
Yeah. No, it's a huge crapshoot. Like, you could give me any reason, I'll believe you either way. But I'm going to go Wisco.
All right, you're going Wisco. I'll go Wisconsin. I'll go Michigan. Nick writes in, by the way, he's with the Rams. He's with you on the Rams, which is not a good sign because Nick knows what he's talking about. So
good, I like that.
You both are on the Rams. I'll still take the Seahawks. Upset special, Pooley. What are we thinking here?
Oof. So I was between two last night. I'm going to go with the higher dog just for intrigue. I'm going to go with Mr. Felipe Franks himself in the Arkansas Razorbacks. Another revenge game, Felipe Franks. But in all honesty, the Kyle Pitts injury is kind of big too, and who knows if Florida coming off again, one of their biggest wins, if not the biggest win of the season, whether they're going to be up for this game this week. I still think they win, but I don't know necessarily enough they cover the 18.
Oh, sorry. So the number is 18?
18, yes.
All right.
That's what I saw.
And I apologize. Is it Arkansas at home or on the road? Again, not that it matters too much.
That would be a good question. I believe it's Arkansas at home, but I could be wrong.
Let me see if I can pull it up really quick here. I actually like that.
It's at Florida, actually.
Okay.
My bad.
Well, I don't think they'll be packing the swamp to Dan Mullen's approval, but I like that one. Honestly, that's the one I saw, and I know we were texting before the show. You put, like, your notes about Felipe Franks. So I was all right, Pooley might go that one, so I stayed away. There wasn't many in college football that I felt good in. I'm going to go with the NFL here. I really don't do much NFL upset specials, but we're going to roll with it. I'm going to go with the Bengals here. +7 on the road, taking on the Steelers. Big Ben in COVID protocol. They're coming off a weird win. Now, this could be a spot where they just are pissed off because they played so bad against the Cowboys and try to get things fixed. I just don't know how teams, like when they're in isolation all week, I know the Tennessee Titans were basically in isolation for 2 weeks and just kicked the crap out of the Bills. I'm just going to take the Bengals here, a touchdown. I like the way Joe Burrow's playing. I mean, they can't protect him. This is going against a great Steelers defense. I'm actually talking myself out of this pick right now. I don't love it at all, but I wrote it down. We're going to go with it. Bengals +7 on the road at the Steelers. Not feeling good. Not feeling good at all, but we'll roll with it. We'll see how it goes for this week.
With the options we had this week, it was slim picking. So.
Yeah, it absolutely was. All right, so. Sorry, Pooley. What were you going to say?
No, move on.
All right, so I was going to say, so we're both on the Colts +2, both on the Cardinals -2. You're in the Rams +2 or -2. I'm on the Seahawks. We're both on Boston College getting 13.5 at home. You're on Wisconsin giving 4.5. I'm on Michigan. Upset special for Pooley. Arkansas getting, 18 at Florida?
18, yeah, at Florida.
I'll take the Bengals +7 at the Steelers. We'll see how this goes. You didn't hear much confidence from either of us in this one. This might be the biggest coin flip of a slate we've had so far, honestly.
It's a tough slate, and my handicapping is probably at an all-time low this year. So,
well, same here. That is for sure. Pooley, before we get out of here, the golf expert yourself, the biggest tournament of the year, obviously rescheduled because of COVID. The Masters underway. It looks like I see, at least on Twitter, it looks like the sun is out in Augusta after getting a little rain early on here. Let's get some picks. We'll give you some bonus points, too. What are we thinking here? What are some of these Pooley predictions for the Masters this week?
Man, so you're talking to the Korn Ferry Tour golf expert, so I'll see if I can bring my knowledge up to the PGA Tour. If you're asking me a Will Zalatoris question, I'd have every answer for you. But I'll give you some PGA picks right now. So obviously the consensus, Bryson's to lose. I would say that's fair.
Bryson, what would you say? Sorry?
It's Bryson's to lose, I would say.
Bryson's to lose. Okay.
Consensus favorite. But I would say if we're moving down the board a little bit, I'll give you my favorite not named Bryson that I like. I like JT this week. He's improved every trip to Augusta, so I like him to maybe not win, but definitely top 10. Middle of the board, I love Morikawa at 30-1. He has literally no respect for a guy who won one of the last two majors.
That is crazy. He played really well, too, in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and I think it's the conditions this week. Obviously, we saw the rain delay this morning. It's going to be soft. It's going to play long. He doesn't hit it as far, but he might literally be the best iron player on the planet right now. So I think that is a value pick. I'll give you like a middle range pick, and I'll give you bottom of the board looking for like super like Hail Mary. So Nick's gonna laugh. I'm gonna give Abe Answer 80-1. Love the guy.
Abe Answer?
Abraham Answer.
That's a hell of a name. Abe, he's the answer. He is the answer.
Yeah, he is.
I'm sure he hasn't heard that one before.
My boy Scotty Scheffler 50-1.
Oh, okay.
Texas Longhorn guy. If you watch the PGA, sort of had his coming out party, rookie on tour. So I like him this week. And then my bottom of the barrel, my Hail Mary pick, and I think he actually teed off already. He might be one under already. Is Corey Connors, the Canadian, 150-1. It's my Hail Mary pick.
Wow, 150-1. Corey Connors. Look at you digging deep. No Tiger Woods, I'm guessing, correct? No confidence at all?
So this is my thing. I think anytime Tiger's going to Augusta, you have to have at least 25% confidence.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one course where even if your form stinks, you can just show up and still play well. I think he proved it back when he came off the scandal. I think we were sophomores in college, and he contended and probably should have won without the penalty on 15. So I think you never can rule him out, but I think a November Masters doesn't do well for him, to be quite honest.
Okay. How do you think the weather's going to play, too? Right, it's obviously different from April now to November.
It looks like the forecast is clearing up. I mean, obviously it poured this morning. It was supposed to rain more throughout the week, but it looks like it's going to clear up. But I just think, obviously, the longer hitters are going to have an advantage because if it's wet and soft and the ball's not rolling out, if Bryson's hitting wedge into every green and it's sticking, the long guy should have an advantage.
All right, so there you have it. So, Poole, you're going. You're. I guess it sounds like your number one pick. You've had everyone on the board pick a winner. You're going with Bryson.
I'd go Bryson. If you're not worried about finding value or anything, take Bryson at 8-1.
All right. JT is a name that threw out there. Abe Answer, a great name. And the Canadian, what you said was Corey Connors?
Corey Connors. Canadian.
Corey Connors, 150-1. This is why we bring Pooley on the show. Masters, breakdown. This guy is watching amateur tournaments. If anyone out there knows the Corn Ferry, what is it, the circuit? I apologize. Corn Ferry.
It's a Corn Ferry tour, like the minor,
tour.
Like the one down from PGA. Yeah.
This guy is all over it. Write those picks down. Take them to the bank. Pooley. Appreciate you, buddy. Look at that. A little bonus Masters coverage. If one of these picks out, we'll give you extra bonus picks. The Masters special here. So you have a great chance to catapult to first place. That'd
be great. But, no, thanks for having me on, bud. I would say I miss you, but I think I really miss hanging out with Warren more. So it's a shame we haven't had one tequila shot in this calendar year.
I know. Wow, that is depressing. That really, wow. Oofa.
Yeah, it's a sad thought, but soon enough, bud. Soon enough.
Soon enough. You're not the first person to say you like Lauren more than me, so it's at this point it's just water off the old back. It's an old story. Appreciate you, Poole, coming on, buddy. That was a lot of fun.
But appreciate it, bud. Be well, all right?
You as well. The great Mike Pooley. Breaking it the hell down. Appreciate him coming on. Now, appreciate everyone tuning in on this Thursday morning. Hopefully enjoyed the show. Enjoy the games this weekend. College football, NFL, the Masters. Enjoy it. Soak it in. We will talk to you again on Monday to break it all down right here, as always, on the Worldwide Sports Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.